Hello comrades, unfortunately no vlog for today, but a video that many of you have asked me to make for obvious reasons, and something I should have made a long time ago and really wanted to, but I was either very busy or maybe even a bit lazy. But today I'm gonna tell you more about my history, about my past, about my background, the things I had to go through to end up where I am. Kind of sounds negative. Well, life isn't that bad, but let's get to the point. I'm gonna tell you about my background. I'm gonna talk pretty much about everything what I find relevant, and for that I'm gonna divide this video to about my past and background in general, where I come from. Then tell you something more about my education, something about my work experience in general, because it wasn't always cars. And then I tell you how I got into the car world, because many of you, I get many questions, and again, for obvious reasons, how do you end up doing what you're doing, living at the Nürburgring, driving all those cars, and well, living the dream and making that your work. And let me tell you one important thing. The problem is, if you make out of your hobby your job, you won't have any time left to make your hobby. So again, coming back to the point that, well, going through the things I had to go through, this is fairly negative point. You know, because it's my job, I cannot, there are very few times that I can actually enjoy myself with cars and track. There is always something behind. I have to shoot a video, I have to drive the car, I have to this, but again, dwelling off, let's get to the point. Let's get started about where I come from. So my story starts on 11th of November 1989, where I was born in Moscow, and to be more precise, in Soviet Union. This is why, because yeah, the Soviet Union was still existing, so I'm not really a communist, but my passport says I was born in Soviet Union, which is, I don't know, makes me kind of more special, I guess, one of the last few people that got born there. So just a fun detail. What else? I spent there 11 years, yeah, in Russia, because when I was 9, my parents got divorced because my mom wanted to move from Russia. She wanted a more brighter future for me in Europe. My dad, on the other hand, he wanted to stay, maybe because of the patriotic reasons or whatever not, I don't know. So they divorced when I was 9, and when I was 11, we moved to Holland on 24th of December 2000. Yes, on a Christmas evening, we got to Holland. Then my mom married a Dutch guy again, and this is a long story short how I ended up in Holland, just because coincidence. So that's why I speak Dutch also. Because after that I spent there, well, pretty much whole of my youth until I was, I believe, 22, and after that 21, and then I moved to Russia again to study. But yeah, coming back to the educational point of view, so I spent primary school in Russia, and then 2 years of primary school in Holland, then high school in Holland, then 5 years of university in Holland, of which 3 years in Holland, then 1 year of exchange. Then I tried to finish university again, but then I got so much into the cars, and then I was so fed up with the education and university, and I understood there is nothing left here for me. Nobody gonna teach me how to hold a camera in this case today, and to shoot a vlog and interact with people. I'm not saying that education is bad, but at this point I decided to drop out and pursue my dream, because I understood if I will spend more time on education, I will miss out a lot of stuff on the possibility side of the possibilities that I had at that point. And this is, well, I'm a dropout. But I don't think it's a bad thing, because I don't want to compare myself with Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, but many successful people are dropouts, to be honest. I'm not saying I'm successful at this point, but I enjoy doing what I'm doing, most certainly, and I don't think that just a piece of paper, I have well, this is my CV, by the way, to understand, to remind me what I was doing. But yeah, coming back to the point, I don't think that a piece of paper saying I'm a graduate of Nürburg University in business and management would have gotten me a job. And to be honest, maybe yes, because in the end it always depends what you believe in. If you believe that a piece of graduation paper, diploma is gonna help you on a job? Yes, it is. If you believe that your experience is going to be and you're gonna use it as an argument to get a job, yes, it's gonna be that way. But this is again a pretty long, boring story about my education. But what I studied in university, the study was called Liberal Arts and Sciences, and that was pretty much a shitload of everything. We had like neuroscience, we had religion, we had rhetorics, we had accountancy, we had, again, everything, law, business and management, marketing, sales. So a bit of everything in the first year. Then you had to choose like your major and a minor. And for my, in my case, I chose business and management for my major. So there was a bit more focus and slightly a bit more of law, which was, well, I guess it was good. I learned a lot of things, but at some point it got me a bit boring. I also spent 1 year of higher business school of Moscow State University in Russia, and that was a very nice experience. To be honest, I didn't learn a lot in terms of education there because it was more repetition of stuff that I already learned in Holland, but it was nice to have, well, not really cultural shock, but to see things from a different perspective. That was a nice thing. But yeah, dropped out. So now let's talk about more about my work experience in general. And again, grabbing my CV to check it out. Aha, memories. My career, like my career in the labor market, if you want to say it like that, starts on October of 2005, when I was more or less, when it was more or less legal to have a job in Holland from the age of 15. Of course, you can be a paper boy before that, but for some reasons I didn't do that. But yeah, going back to the story, 2005 October, I applied for a job at Intertoys, which was like, yeah, like the name suggests, it was a retail shop that was mainly dealing toys. And as a 15-year-old boy, very gaming minded about computer games and everything, I was hoping that they would put me at least like in a computer store department, but they put me in a fucking Barbie department. I had to sell fucking Barbies when I was like my first job, yes. And the most stupid thing is that one day the guy responsible for the console department and all the video games, he had his lunch and he asked me to take care of it. And because I was really so much into gaming, like a side note, if I wasn't into cars, I would be definitely like a computer game YouTuber. This is like, I was crazy about computer games back then, really. Like, more crazy than I am about cars, maybe, right now. But since I was this game-minded, and this guy was away, in this half an hour that I had to substitute him, I sold like 3 gaming consoles, which was, well, not really a company record, maybe, but it was pretty impressive. And I told the guys, listen, look, this is my passion, this is what I'm good at, and I'm earning you money. Maybe you can put me there? No, you're doing fine in Barbie department. I'm like, what the fuck, guys? And the funny story is, in the end, I got fired. Well, not really fired. The thing is, I got caught when I was having my phone. It wasn't even a smartphone, and I was showing a picture to a friend of mine from my phone. And the manager got really pissed at me. And after that, I never got scheduled in for the job. So after a month of coming weekly in the office and seeing if I had any shift on that month or on that week, it was 0, and after a month I quit. I joined another job, and then when I submitted my resignation, the manager was like, oh, you don't like here anymore or what? I'm like, don't be man the fuck up, okay? I mean, just either fire me, but of course you have to pay extra money, or just, we both know how it is. So just a bit pissed how stupid people can be. But yeah, my next job was funny, and in a vegetables factory. Yeah, I did a lot of order picking for over a year, and that was actually a very satisfying job in terms of salary. The pay was really good, I believe between 6 and 8 euros an hour. So on during holidays, when I didn't have to go to school, I could earn like close to 2,000 euros per month, which was, yeah, pretty good on my 16th years of age. Then another factory jobs at DAF trucks. You know, the trucks, you have DAF, man. Well, DAF was close to my city of Helmond when I was living back then. Volunteer. I did a lot of volunteer jobs as well. And the funny story is, there was a project going on in the city where I was living, in the city of Helmond, for the troubled youth. I wasn't troubled, but the project was pretty fun because they said, to keep the youth off the streets, let's provide them some boxing class. And well, they found a guy who was like an ex-European champion boxing. He taught us for like 2 years, and after that he quit. And then the organization asked if I could substitute him. And I said, yeah, sure, fine, because I have a. I don't want to brag about it, but people like the way that I can deal with people, and in this case it was dealing with kids. So, funny story that I remember when I was asking for funding from the government to get us new equipment, boxing gloves and everything. It was very pain in the ass, and then I just went to the city hall and I said, listen, either those trouble youth gonna smash your bus stops, smash windows, be vandals on the streets, or you're gonna give us fucking equipment and they're gonna smash each other's faces. Well, I really said it like that. And they'll be kept off the street, and they can, like, they can let out their aggression somewhere else and not in your property. And then they were like, this guy says something smart. Maybe we should indeed do that. So yeah, we got funding, and that was just a nice story. Then spent 3 years working in an Italian restaurant. Yeah, and that's how I, in the end, got me learning Italian. I already forgot it by now because I haven't spoken it like for over 7 years. But because, like I told you in the video, how many languages do I speak, I was really bored or annoyed that the guys spoke more Italian than they spoke Dutch or something, and I wanted to understand what they were talking about, and well, I studied Italian for a bit. Another boring job at the warehouse. Yeah, so basically a lot of, well, student jobs in warehouses and that kind of stuff. So nothing special, nothing spectacular. My last job, which was more or less special, was at Philips, this IT company or electronics company from Holland. That was probably one of the most fun jobs. And that was also warehouse related, but more with IT stuff and more like management. Not in a dirty warehouse, but like more organized. And after that, I moved to cars. Okay, how I got into the car world. And it's funny because it didn't start with cars, it started with scooters actually. And the scooter was actually an excuse that I bought for my second job, this vegetables factory, because it was, I believe, 10 kilometers-ish away from my home. So going there by bicycle was fine, but going there by scooter would have been more fine. So I bought one. And before that, I was always like, no, fuck scooters. I just gonna save up my money for driving license, get a car when I'm 18, and in the end, I ended up spending tens of thousands of euros. Literally, my 80 or 90% of my salary went into scooters in the end. But yeah, I got my first scooter, and after about 2 weeks, the engine, or well, the cylinder and the piston blew up. So what are you gonna do then? Replace it for stock? No way, Jose! You're gonna put a 70 cubic centimeters, well, 70 cc on it, put some aftermarket exhaust, and, well, transmission, and so on and so on. And before you know it, you're wheeling very fast, and before you know it, you end up participating with Dutch Championship of Scooter Drag Racing. And, well, this is like really long story short. And if you want to know more, just ask me. I will probably make a separate video on my scooter past. And for now, all I have to say, just scroll on my channel because there are lots and lots of videos from 2007 and 2006 in 480p, the highest resolution that was available back in the time, about me doing some stupid stuff on scooters. So maybe it wasn't me. If it's something illegal, it wasn't me because you cannot see the guy behind. Let's pretend it's me because I want to look cool. It's not me. But yeah, you can look up a lot of videos then and find out more. But longer story short, how did this get me into cars? Some highlights. Again, I didn't want to have a car because once I got attached to the two-wheel type of thing, my first advanced method of transportation wasn't a car, but I bought a bike. When I was 21 and I was It was at the age of 21, you can apply for the like more powerful driver's license on a motorcycle, so you can go unlimited. And below that, you had to go like, I don't know, 25 kilowatts, which is like not fast at all. But I got that, and then my first bike was a Suzuki G6R 600. No, Suzuki S-Rad 600. It wasn't G6R, just a G6R. But yeah, so I was doing those scooter drag races between 2008 and 2010, and around 2009 the organization had what's it called, like a vacancy on the scooter drag racing forum, saying that they want to do something cool, which was in this case organizing drag races for cars, very exclusive and exotic cars, and they needed volunteers. And I was like, fuck yeah, I want to volunteer for such a cool event. So I did that. It was in Holland, and event was fucking amazing. Check out the video and the description in the link below. I hope I will not forget to put it in the description, because again, I apologize. I often say to you, check out the video in the description, and I forget putting it up. But a video from that particular day when we had a drag race of a fucking jetpack. You know, stuff you see from the fantasy movies, jetpack versus a Saker sports car, which was, yeah, freaking amazing. But the event, going back to my point, the event was in Holland, and Holland is a country that is famous for the modesty. You know, people will never brag about their stuff. They can be a freaking billionaire, but they will still drive an old Opel Corsa or something like that, or even their bicycle. So the problem was finding the participants at that time. And at the same time, the world famous, at least in the car culture, this world famous Moscow M500 came to existence, and we saw that on YouTube and the internet. And then they said, hey, those are Russians. Misha, you're Russia. You should go there and ask if they want to participate. And that's how I ended up, well, in the Russian car scene as well. I went there, made friends, and everyone really wanted to come to our amazing event, but then we didn't get any permission to host it on the same place, which was like an airport or airfield in Holland. And yeah, there were a lot of background stories why it didn't happen. But yeah, that's how I rolled up more into cars. And the final push into the car world happened when I had a big fight actually at home. And a good friend of mine, who is now in charge of Blackfish Graphics, it was called Sticker Dump back then, she said, now it's enough. You're gonna come and live with me to prevent from having all this bullshit at your home. And I did, and that was the beginning years of the Sticker Dump, and I ended up helping her where I could, and it resulted in us traveling, around, mostly in Holland and Germany, selling car stickers for cars, for all kinds of car cultures. We visited like dozens of events per year, and that got me the understanding of every car culture, whether it was like racing or rat rod or stands or I don't know, you name it. We were there, and that really contributed to my understanding of car cultures in general, and getting also lots of interesting car contacts. So I guess bad things can lead to good things in this case. Yeah, around that time I was also starting to make my first kind of money, let's say so, and then I bought my first car, which was a guy who was also helping out at Sticker Dump, or today Blackfish Graphics, was selling, which was a Subaru Impreza, the GC8, the first type. It wasn't a coupe, unfortunately, it was a sedan, because coupes are pretty rare in Holland, and they are pretty rare in general. He was selling that, I bought it, and just like it happened with my scooter, but in the case of scooter, my engine blew up, but in this case, my brake pads were gone. So what did I do? I put a big brake kit all around, and also new suspension. And while the guys were fitting the suspension and brakes, I said, ooh, those are quite nice seats you have in your race cars. Can I have them as well? And then I applied for a racing driving course, and then I ended up participating with Dutch Time Attack. And then I realized I didn't have enough horsepower, so I called the tuner guy. I said, hey, I want 500 plus horsepower. And then he was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna call you right back, because you can imagine a lot of people ask for 500 plus horsepower, but then they get like this bill that they have to spend, and he was thinking that I was just one of those dreamers, so he didn't reply. Then I went to another company, and they said, okay, here's the price. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Funny thing, I wanted 500 plus horsepower car. Then I got into this project building of the car. I'll probably make a separate video of how I built the car and what comes into it if you want me to, so let me know in the description. Yeah, 500 plus horsepower car. Then I had my sedan. I bought a coupe for the project. I bought an extra donor car, so I had 3 Imprezas. I bought a daily car because the Impreza was not daily anymore. It was like way too hardcore. And at one point I got home and I said to my girlfriend, hey, I bought 2 more cars. And I already had 2 at that time. And she's like, that's fucking it. That's enough. You love cars more than me. Get out of here. I'm like, oh, okay. Hello? You remember that 500 plus horsepower engine? Yeah. Could we make it 700 plus? Because I have extra budget now. Yeah, my girlfriend just dumped me. Okay, cool, see you tomorrow. Yeah, it was pretty fun. But yeah, I ended up with having 705 horsepower Subaru Impreza and 864 Newton meters of torque on 1104 kilograms, which was goddamn fucking fast. But yeah, then at the same time I moved to Russia to study. The car got kind of more or less abandoned. Then I came back to do one race. I crashed into the barrier because I understood you need to keep practicing driving cars. You cannot be a student and go use public transport, go drive the bus, and then suddenly after half a month of riding the bus come back to the one of the most fastest cars, well, time attack cars in the world back at the time, and then decide to drive it. Well, you end up in the barrier in the second turn. This is what happened. It wasn't bad damage, but I realized I'll be useless if I continue doing that. So I gave the car to my, well, good friend of mine, whose name was Inessa Tushkanova. She was a Playboy model at the time, and also, well, rally driver. I gave the car to her, and then she ended up on the first place. And that got a sponsorship deal to the World Time Attack. So I went to Australia, and since then, it was in 2013, I really, really, really want to get back there at some point. Hopefully even this year. I don't know. If you're some Australian company and you want to invite me, please. But yeah, long story short, I would say around 2013, I started to understand the power and the importance of social media. Something I used in the past, well, in previous years, to tell my friends what I'm eating, what I'm still doing with you guys now with the food vlogs, but more serious about, yeah, the progress of my race car, because I found it really cool to explain to people. And then companies, well, in 2013, I decided to turn that into profession. So I started as a marketing guy at a company called Spilivili Engineering, which was owned by a friend of mine, and they're responsible for the world famous Nissan Juke R. You can look up the video on the internet about Juke R kicking Bugatti Veyron's ass. That's world famous. I stayed with them until the end of 2014 when I quit, and shortly after, at that time, I already have gathered, well, enough experience and enough, I don't want to say fame, but people knew my name. People knew what I could do in terms of my reach. And when I quit and I said, hey, I'm available for jobs now, I got, well, on the same day, like close to 10 calls from different companies, and one of them was Ring Garage, and that was the most interesting choice for me because it was completely new company, so I had the possibility to, well, a full opportunity of creations of what I could do, to come up with the logo, with the styling of the cars that you know by now. And of course, being that at the Nürburgring was a nice extra. So it's just a coincidence that I ended up here. And, well, at the beginning of this year, suddenly, still don't want to talk about the reasons, I quit. And then at the same time, well, I knew Robert before, but I got in touch with him and he said, hey, I got this nice house. Should we do something together? Are you interested? I said, fuck yeah, I'm interested. But yeah, this is, I guess, still a bit of chaotic explanation of how I got here. But what I wanted to tell you is, I don't have, like, you know, rich parents or something. Everything that I have achieved, I achieved with those 2 hands and with this little brain inside. At least I hope there is something. But yeah, everything is achieved all by myself. I started with, like I told you, I worked in factories, I worked in restaurants, I had to clean dishes, the most shittiest job. I did it before ending up here. So it's not just something like, hey, Dad, can I have like $1 million because I want to build a race car and I want to buy a house near Nürburg and to do something. No, none of that is true. So again, I hope this will be like a point of motivation for you guys, apart from understanding how I got here, but most importantly, motivation for you guys that you can achieve whatever the fuck you want. The problem is it's gonna probably take you 10 years, and that's like, well, not even 10 years. Of course, if you're a natural talent and you have like $1 billion or euro idea, it can take you a couple of days or weeks or months or years. But on average, to be good at something, it's gonna take you years and lots of hard work. So don't be discouraged. If you want to do the same thing what I'm doing, and trust me, you don't want to, because it's, look at my eyes. You will not be sleeping. And like I told you in the beginning of this video, you won't have time for your hobby because your hobby will be your job, and you start maybe at some points will be even hating your hobby, which will be pretty shit. But whatever you want, it's cliche, okay? It's cliche, but where's a will, there's a way. You can achieve it. It's just gonna take you a shitload of blood, sweat, and tears, and time. Yeah, I guess this is it for now. And again, sorry for being a bit chaotic and a bit of everything, but I hope I covered the most of the basics. And it's pretty early in the morning right now, to be honest, so I'm still not awake. And again, I will make again separate videos on certain topics or certain parts of my life that I discussed right now, like more dedicated video on the scooter part or my race car build part or this or that, whenever I have time. And I know that today is a boring day, I don't have anything special to vlog about. I'm gonna tell you a nice little story, of course, only if you want me to. So for that, let me know in the comments, first of all, if you like this video, and I believe by now it'd be like 30 minutes plus, but just let me know if you enjoyed it and what else you want me to tell about in detail in the future. And if you're new, I hope that gives you reason to subscribe. And see you guys in tomorrow's vlog. Bye bye.